Hello, my name's Faith. I'm a therapist, and this is my podcast. I'm really excited to start it. I've been asked by a lot of people. We'll hopefully start a whole big journey of mental health awareness and the experience of being a therapist so that you guys can understand the real distinctions between, different therapy practices, what I think as a therapist, and also the fact that I keep getting told that I'm not like a typical therapist, which I think is probably quite true. Today's episode is about ChatGPT. Obviously, I know that a lot of people use ChatGPT as a replacement for therapy or an alternative. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about why it's not a good alternative or replacement, but also where there could be real developments in utilizing it as a positive therapeutic tool. So again, welcome to my new podcast. Stick around and there'll be really interesting stuff coming out in due course. ChatGPT is an effective tool for so many reasons. And obviously we don't fully understand the long-term impacts of utilizing AI in this way, especially when we're offering a lot of our private information, our personal experiences, because in a way it's teaching it more and more how to be human, which has its own ramifications, I think. The difference between what I would bring to you in a session and what ChatGPT would. Having a strong physical presence in therapy doesn't necessarily mean you are doing too much with your body. It means you're paying attention to body language, to eye contact, to tension in the body. And in my particular practice, I open and close with meditation. So usually we'll open with some soft, gentle breath work and then close with that. And these are what I would call thresholds of the session. They open the practice into where it can be full of imagination and exploration. And then at the end, we close it, we close the door and get ourselves a little bit ready to hit the outside world and step out of the therapeutic space. So that's just one of the many reasons why physically being there, or even if it is online, which isn't always ideal, but even if it is online, having that humanness is vital in therapy. Evidentially speaking, we're seeing an uptick of people being hospitalized or in mental health crisis that's been exacerbated by ChatGPT. There's been a few cases I heard of AI-induced psychosis, which the thing is about ChatGPT is that it enables, and I was talking to some of my family about this, and you can talk to it and it will just say, oh, everything you're saying is great, that's excellent, that's great advice. And sometimes, and this is what therapists do, is that you need to be challenged. And why are we making this decision? Are you sure this is right for you in the long term? And even sometimes when we're close enough as a therapist client connection, maybe it's just really about kind of saying, I don't know if that's a good idea. Do you think that's a good idea? The placating, people-pleasing nature of AI also isn't a benefit. If someone's just validating you, that's great. But if they exclusively validate you and they don't challenge you, stimulate you to grow, then I think it can have some really quite extreme impacts. That said, I think AI can be used by therapists and by mental health professionals in some really unique and interesting ways. So something I learned, theory called the internal family systems, and I won't go into it too much. If you guys want me to, I can maybe do an episode on this because it would take a long time and it would probably require an episode in and of itself. But the internal family systems process is a challenging one, and it takes a while to navigate. In short, you're trying to understand all these different parts of you and treating yourself like you have several different personas rather than just the one whole self. And it's a really fascinating practice, and I think it's really effective. So I explored with AI a little bit of, how could we build on this? Where are there obstacles? So for me, what I noticed was I love drawing, I love making art, but I'm not particularly good at it, right? Obviously, there are ramifications of AI in terms of how it affects the environment. I'm not talking about this, with that not in mind. I would rather bring this into my practice, knowing that it was ethical, that it didn't, use up tons of water, for example. Hypothetically, in a world where it doesn't have that kind of damage, I think it could be used to, let's say, create art. So if I'm talking about this a persona that I found in me was Blaze. And Blaze is very angry, protector. Whenever she sees someone she loves hurt, she will unleash the fire. And I understand her function, she's a firefighter. She's there to stop me feeling too much pain, trying to protect me from it in her own way. And I asked ChatGPT to create that, a few images for that. I asked it to use my likeness. And again, there's loads of ethical ramifications on that, which is why I sort of treated myself like my own case study, like a research project rather than like a legitimate therapeutic tool. But it was fascinating, I got this version of me that looked like me, but looked like almost like a superhero. I found it really cathartic. And so I worked alongside AI with all of these different parts of me to try and build a sort of imagery toolkit. What do they need? What does this part of you need? Okay, this part is a bit more organized, so she needs to-do lists. This part is more angry, so maybe she needs to go and exercise, and really trying to engage with all of these parts of self. So I think in that sense, AI can be a huge, huge, huge benefit. And I also think it could be beneficial in a variety of treatments, including addiction, which I'll hopefully come to another time. I think that therapy is invaluable, and I also really struggle with the reality that it is so inaccessible for so many people that they feel that they have to go to ChatGPT just to access support, and that's really unfair. And I would love to find a way where I, as a therapist, I know my worth and what I feel I deserve to get paid, while equally, allowing people to have access to the therapy. But maybe I can go into that in another episode. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining today, and thanks for listening. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to let me know on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care of yourselves.